it's made me more of a collectivist artist. I have a new understanding, a new commitment to the way I do art. It's really important to me that there are connections between the people, the collaborators, at a different level past just team building and cohesion. Art is so vulnerable. It's such a vulnerable process to be a part of. And pairing it now in a therapeutic sense, it even adds and amplifies the vulnerability present. And it's opened up my willingness to not only share in the making, but share in the process at a deeper level. I was trying to practice meditation for a long time. You know, they say pick a mantra, pick a thing to like come back to, and it's a word that means truth. Satya, I would say, is the character that is most like me. She's very much that tortured artist archetype. She is constantly in this state of sort of doubt in her work, whether or not this thing she's creating is going to be important or special, or if it will be successful. And all of these questions kind of exert this force on her very silently. And throughout the play, she really starts to interact on a deeper level with creativity, with some spiritual elements, with things that inspire her. And you see that with the other characters who really represent those parts. Pala is this adorable resident of this, you know, magical village world. And he very much has that part of Satya that is always striving to find like the perfect invention, the perfect thing. He lives a really like quiet life. He's kind of curmudgeon-y-ish, but there is also this urge to make things comfortable all the time. Pala Pala was something my parents used to say to me when I was really little, and it was kind of this term of, oh, you're making it better too quickly. You know, like you're kissing the wound too quickly before we can learn or process feelings. You're sort of giving me pala pala to like make it all better, but making something all better takes time. Guerrera is a Spanish word for warrior. She makes friends very easily. People are attracted to her, but she kind of represents this side that is unstable and really wanting to push resistance against the status quo forward with a lot of energy. Very rebellious. People really are charmed by her though, and she's a little wild. I was creating a lot of art that was coming up with foxes. I didn't know where it was from. It started working its way into my neurodrama work, and I started getting curious as to why. Also a very American thing. People are obsessed with ancestry DNA because we want so badly to know where we come from and who we are, I believe. And at the time, my ancestry DNA was like, you're super Scottish. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get curious about where the fox shows up in like Celtic myths and different things. And then, you know, ancestry DNA updates like every 6 or 12 months. And the Scottish thing went out the window. And it's like, you're actually Spanish and indigenous Mexican. And I was like, oh, wait, I remember a character that was fox-like in some Mexican folklore. And I just started tugging at that thread. And I was like, wow, it's weird how these things just are floating around and here for me to pick up and explore. Midalia. This is a character that is very tender. It's the most underdeveloped character. It's still in progress, but it is inspired directly from my life. Midalia was my mother's name, which I did not find out until she passed away. So the curiosity of who she was and where she came from kind of spurred on this very personal cultural journey. This play takes place in the land of lost time, which is filled with people who can wield magic, people who can be swallowed up with trees. It's this place that has access to our world. It's linked to Satya's creativity and her unconscious, and it came from a map that I created as a dramatherapy exercise that had all these different places that held memory and sorrow and love. And I made this map, and I was like, what would I call this? I'm like, oh, it'd be like a valley of lost time. And then I was like, oh, it's too Zelda. And then I'm like, no, it's the land of lost time. It's my history and my ancestry. It's all of these things that are lost. And I think that's wrapped up in me being adopted. And I'm second generation adopted. And so there's a severance from where you come from. But then it's also like acknowledgement or exploration of the severance of where my parents who raised me came from. They were unable to know the land and the people from whence they came. I got really dissatisfied as an actor and was working for a theater company that was very cool. I learned a lot, but was still really dissatisfied with the level of creative control. And so I just one day said to my best friend, I was like, I think we should make our own theater. And she's like, okay, like, what are we gonna do? And I'm like, let's do Dracula. But I want to do a dance-based Dracula. I wanted the challenge. And so we did a production of Dracula, completely original music. I choreographed, I was Dracula. It was extremely rewarding. And from there, I continued to participate in Fringe. I paired with a writer to put up a play at the Wyndham Museum in Culver City, and just slowly started becoming more of a producer and having just greater responsibility, but also greater creative control, which was extremely fulfilling. I love directing. I'm a very actor-involved director. I like to work with images. I like to do a lot of sort of workshopping. I'm very much, my mindset is 90% process, 10% outcome. So I really like to explore the body, shapes, levels, very sensory aspects of performance. And some people really dig that. And I think it's really rewarding to do that work because it's detailed in a way that you don't always get to work. There's a consideration that not everyone is going to be ready to grapple with, identity, the self, some of the themes that I'm talking about in this play. Everybody's at a varying point in their journey with identity, and it's always unfolding. And so there's a patience that is kind of woven that has to be preserved. It is my story. It's very autobiographical, but everybody that is an artist can attach themselves to my main character. Everyone knows the culture and the journey of the artist, the struggling artist. In that way, the story is not really wholly mine, it's ours.